Welcome back to another edition of the In the Game interview series. Today we've got Rich Stoneman, Associate Head Women's Coach at Longwood. Rich, thanks for taking some time to talk with us today.
Thanks for having me.
Why don't you take us through your playing background and some of the stops in your coaching journey?
Well, playing background and stops in coaching, that could take a while, but I'll sum it up real quick. Military kid, was fortunate enough to, soccer was the only way to make friends everywhere we traveled, everywhere we went. I was fortunate enough to get a scholarship at OCU University in Oklahoma City. Played 4 great years there. We had some good teams, good outings there. Left college, got to play after. I was fortunate enough to play after college. Played in Dallas, Kansas City, and then bounced around the A-League for a while. Last team I played in got sent to Raleigh for the Raleigh Express, and then the team folded, and I ended up going back to college to finish my degree, and that's how I got into coaching. Didn't want to coach, but went back to finish my degree, and got into coaching, fell in love with it, and I've been doing it ever since. And once I finished up my degree, I was fortunate enough to go to Baylor University. That's where I worked with Nick Cowell. I spent 2 seasons there, and then from there went to Louisiana Tech. Helped start the program from scratch there when we were in the WAC with a young coach, Jen Burns. Spent 4 seasons there, and then the opportunity came back to get back to the East Coast, where some of my family's from, and was fortunate enough to land the job at East Carolina with Rob Donnerworth back in the day, and had some success there. Left ECU after some success, went to Coastal Carolina. Was fortunate enough to work with 2 great head coaches there, with Tammy DeCesare and currently Paul Hogan. Did some good things there, and then after Coastal, kind of got out of the college game a bit. Went into coaching in Charlotte for a little bit on the club side, and helped out at Pfeiffer University. Had a great run at Pfeiffer, and the job came open at Longwood, and I'd known the head coach Todd Dyer for many years, recruiting at East Carolina, and we just kind of knew each other in passing, and came on campus, fell in love with what they have here, what he's established here, and I'm fortunate enough to say that I'm going into my 10th year here at Longwood. I think that's probably 8 years longer than most people thought I would be here, but I'm in a great place with great people, great kids, and a good administration.
Yeah, I think I got to meet you when you were at ECU, so I got to see a couple of those other stops in there, and obviously, Tammy D's a good friend of mine, and we've had Paul Hogan on the show as well. So you've worked with some great people for sure, and I've only heard you say positive things about your time at Longwood, and I think you guys have had some pretty good success while you've been there, right?
Yeah, we're still building, we're still learning. We do things the right way here, and when I say that, I think we think we have a great thing here at Longwood. It's small enough where your professors know your name, big enough where you can play the D1 game. It's a great environment. There's 2 of us that we do right by our kids. We take care of them, we look after them, but at the same time, we're still in the stages of trying to win that first ever championship, and we've come close a couple times, but close is only good in cornhole and hand grenades.
Yeah, it used to be horseshoes, but now it's cornhole.
Yeah.
So, what are some things that you guys are doing with your team? Obviously, it's a really difficult situation for us as college coaches and even club coaches now. What are some things that you guys are trying to do with your team, even though you don't really have them with you?
Well, obviously doing this, the Zoom, the FaceTime, a lot of that with Zoom and FaceTime when it comes to keeping in touch with our players. I think FaceTime and Zoom is a little bit more personal. You get to see faces, you get to see emotions. Right now it's about academics. We want to focus on the academics, make sure they finish the year strong academically. It's challenging now that everything's online for some students. For some students, it's a little easier. So we do weekly check-ins with every player. We have small groups that we've formed, and they've got their soccer fitness packet. They know, our girls are pretty responsible. They know what's expected of them. We've they're constantly reaching out to us for new things to do. And, it's just a matter of, staying, academically, staying inclined, and then staying soccer ready because, I think, things are going to change and hopefully it's sooner than later, but we don't know. But when it does, we have to be soccer ready. But we're doing a lot of group time, a lot of small groups when it comes to fitness groups that way they hold each other accountable. And, we're just here to make sure we mentor them through this process in these times.
Yeah, it's really interesting to hear some of the different things that some groups are doing. We talked to some coaches and they've got their kids, breaking down film and doing tactical analysis. And then, I'm kind of on the other end of that. I've kind of taken more of a less soccer approach, more group approach, where we're just working on, team chemistry and building more familiarity outside of the game with each other, as opposed to really focusing on more of the tactical and that kind of stuff. They have their workout packets, but at the same time, we're working more on team chemistry stuff than we are on true soccer stuff.
Yeah, and I mean that's the big word in college athletics now is culture and chemistry, and I can honestly say of all the places I've been, and I've been at a lot of places, having a head coach that's been here for 25 years, that played here, his wife went to school, played athletics here, his daughter played soccer for us. I was fortunate enough to get to coach her for 2 years of my career here. We've established probably the best team culture that I've ever been around, been associated with, and right now it's just a matter of getting the incoming freshmen involved with, and getting them out of that freshman group and getting them involved and getting to know some of the upperclassmen as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's huge. We always really talk about with my group, if we have the team chemistry right with the group that we have now, when we add those players in, it should be seamless.
It's funny. Yeah, it's funny you say that. I worked with a coach that his philosophy was the quicker he could get the freshmen on board with the seniors, because they've been there for 4 years, the more successful their 4 years would be. And it has nothing to do with bypassing the sophomores or juniors, but the more those freshmen can learn from those seniors, the better off they're going to be throughout their four-year career.
Yeah, I think that's a great approach. It's just it's a different experience once you've been through it for 3 years, going into that 4th year, and you want to give back to the program that you've helped to be a part of.
Exactly.
So, as the associate there, what are some of your main roles in the program?
Well, we work very well together. I mean, I'm fortunate enough to have the title associate head coach, and that just means that the people I work with, the guy I work with, Todd Dyer, gives me a lot of responsibility, and a lot of those responsibilities are the things we share on a daily basis. Recruiting, kind of the things I do on my own is academic monitoring. We do very well academically. That probably would surprise some of my college teammates, but we do very well academically. In the whole recruiting process, getting kids to campus. It's a rural campus, but it's a gorgeous campus, and we get kids on campus. We have a great, we have probably a 90 percentile of getting them to commit here after they've seen it. But we share a lot of our duties. We do a lot of work together. There's nothing specifically that I do that he doesn't do, that we don't share. So everything from travel, scheduling, academic success, practicing. Obviously I train the goalkeepers, but I also have the trust of my head coach to allow me to run sessions. He can be on the road recruiting, not having to worry about what we're going to be doing at training, vice versa. But no, we share a lot of the duties here. We actually work very well together, so which is a good thing.
Yeah. It's great to. I was obviously, as an assistant, that was something that I was fortunate enough to work with head coaches that allowed me to really grow and to be able to jump in and run sessions and be able to get their critiques as well and kind of get their thoughts on things that I could have done differently and done better.
It's important. It's important that you guys, that there's a cohesiveness in your staff. There's trust. There's loyalty. I think loyalty is beginning to be one of the hardest things to find in college athletics nowadays, just all around in general. But we have a lot of those things here. We're just not coworkers. We're good friends. We're good family friends, and we we spend a lot of time with each other's families outside of the office as well. So it makes for a good family environment as well.
Yeah, I think that's something that will allow you guys to go further, because the connection there, and you know that you never have to think about whether the other person has the best interest at heart, and that takes a lot of pressure off, especially in kind of the high stress of D1 athletics.
Yeah, I mean, it's, I think D1 is stressful, but I think any college coaches at any levels got a lot of stress. So yeah, I mean, our jobs are in the hands of 18 to 22-year-olds.
Yep.
So.
Yeah, it can be interesting working with that age group, but I think it's also hugely rewarding getting to see those. You start recruiting them as juniors in high school, and getting to see them kind of go into the professional environment and what they're really going to do with their lives. And I think it can be one of the most difficult times, but it's also the most rewarding.
Yeah, I mean, alumni relations are a big thing here at Longwood. We've got the same head coach for 25 years, and we've got a real strong alumni base. Our players see and understand that we're a cohesive unit, and they understand that, and it just makes for better daily operations and game management team movement.
Yeah. So you've been there now for 10 years. How has the program there changed during your time there?
Well, I mean, I think the things we do here, I think they've changed for the better because of what we do together and how we do things. I think we've been able to get better athletes, better soccer players. I think we've brought a more competitive kind of a fighting environment. And when I say fighting, we put our players in an environment where they're going to compete. We want to compete in everything we do, but we want to see if they're in a fighting situation, how do they handle that? Do they have the fight or flight mentality? We've done that. We've still added on to the team cohesiveness, the team chemistry, the program chemistry. But I think all in all, we're better funded, which leads to more money, and more money leads to better players. I think we've done a good job of getting outside of the state of Virginia. Not that Virginia has some very good soccer players, but they also have a lot of options in state. That, and being in the state of North Carolina. But being able to venture out of state to go to recruit out of state to bring in talent, that helps us. And I think we've been able to bring in talent at the freshman level that helps us from the freshman year and the freshman level. So I think all in all, we work very well. We're a very, very good tandem as coaches, and we've gotten better as the years have gone on with us. We're constantly self-evaluating and learning from each other, and also from our players. We want to get our players' perspective of what we need to do to make things better. And 18 to 22-year-olds don't always have the right answers, but neither do a bunch of two old soccer coaches either. So, but no, I think the last 9 years we've had the most successful years of the program. But success is and that's because we've had all conference players, all region. We've had some All-American nominations. We've done some good things on the field, off the field academically. We're doing better. Right under 50% of our team is in the honors program here. So, but I mean, the soccer's gotten better, but at the end of the day, we've competed for the championship a couple times. We're always in the mix every year. We haven't gotten it done. And that's the bottom line for us, is that, it's going to get done here. It's just a matter of when, hopefully sooner rather than later. And who wants to be part of that with us when we do that.
Yeah. Yeah. I can definitely attest to some of the talent you guys are bringing in from out of state. You guys picked up, a kid from Fuquay in my backyard that I think is going to do pretty well for you guys.
Yeah, I think she's gonna. Yeah, I got chill bumps thinking about her, man. She's she's good. I think she's gonna do some good things.
Yeah, for sure. What are some things that you're doing as a coach right now to kind of continue to develop yourself personally?
I mean, obviously, reaching out to coaches. I think I'm very fortunate enough that I worked for some very, very great coaches everywhere I went. I've got mentors. I've got, every coach that I've worked for, I've stayed in touch with. And those coaches that are still in coaching, we're still good friends. We're great friends. We bounce ideas off of each other. We're constantly talking, recruiting. But more so, being in the business so long, I think you meet new coaches. You meet all these coaches, and everyone's got ideas soccer coaches are the best thieves. I mean, we take ideas and steal ideas from each other. And, you know, I mean, it's always a learning experience, going out to camps at Clemson, going to Virginia Tech, you know, seeing those guys at NC State, and, you know, and I'm just all over the place. So, you know, just staying in touch with the people that you know, branching out to people that you want to get to know, especially in these times. You know, we think we have a lot of free time on our hands, but it's been just as crazy with this whole epidemic we're going through. But I mean, just reaching out. There's, you know, always you want to read books, catch up on, see what the insight is for people. But, you know, just pick other coaches' minds, go see their sessions, go watch club, and the club level is good. You got some great club coaches out there that you can go watch sessions and bounce ideas off, create new drills. I mean, if you're going to be in this business, you're going to have to constantly be learning, and you might as well learn from each other. And the day we think we know it all, I think, is the day that we'll all retire.
Yeah. I think the quote is adapt or die, right? If you're not getting better, you're getting worse.
Yep.
We can keep the cliches going if we want. So you've coached at both the Division I, Division II levels. You coached W League, and you coached club. What are some things that you try to keep as a constant for you when you're coaching at the different levels?
Yeah, and I mean, I talk about, you know, I mean, always competing, and I think that's such an easy word to say, but I think every practice you have to have a component of, you have to have the components of competition, you know, possession, and then, you know, and then the struggle of the fight. And I always say the struggle of the fight, because growing up, I was either going to be a soccer player or a boxer, and, you know, I boxed a lot growing up, and it really taught me a lot of, you know, when you get hit in the face, you know, everyone has a plan. Mike Tyson said, everyone has a plan until you get punched in the face. How do you react? You know, what's your fighting mentality? Because, you know, people, you know, nowadays you have a little bit of anxiety and things like that, but no one's ever had championship anxiety. Coach, I can't play when the championship game comes because I'm nervous for the championship. But I mean, I try and instill in our players, hey, you know, let's have a trust in each other. Self-learning. I want my players to learn from themselves. I want them to try and teach themselves through their game, through their practice sessions, pulling them aside, pointing out one or two, maybe 3 pointers that they can do better. You know, just, and the game is the best teacher. And, you know, we're good at what we do. We're good at what we see. And, you know, every coach can pick out the best players at these games at any level. But how good are we as coaches to really coach and develop and get the best out of our players individually, in small groups, and collectively as a whole? You know, so when we run our training sessions, you know, we want to get that. We want to get those 3 components out of our players.
Yeah, I think the grit piece and the bite, that's huge pieces for me personally. You know, if I'll take a player that might be a little less technical if I can get that fight and that willingness to work hard and some of that passion. You know.
I mean, we definitely, you know, we work hard here. We got a saying during preseason that, you know, fitness gets you on the field, soccer keeps you on the field. You know, if you're fit, you're going to get a chance because we know you've done your work, you're dedicated, you're going to be able to cover the ground. But when that ball's at your feet, you better be able to do something with it, because if your first touch is going into the stands, you know, your fitness isn't going to help us a whole lot.
Yeah, I think there's definitely a balance to it for sure.
Absolutely.
What was one of the reasons that you really got into coaching? Like what really, obviously you said you went back and did your degree, you didn't really look into coach, but what was big to get you into it?
You know, I went back and wanted to get in administration, wanted to do HR, something like that. And hold on.
Yeah.
And sorry. Yeah. But you know, got into coaching, you know, went back to finish my degree, you know, fell in love with it, you know, fell in love with the game again, fell in love with being able to help players dictate the game a little bit. But more importantly for me, I spent 4 years with guys that are still my lifelong friends today. And I got into coaching to make sure that, number one, the players that play for us want to get an education. That, you know, we want to make sure that they do that way afterwards. They have something they can do. But bottom line is, I got into coaching because I had such a great time. I made such great friends and such great experiences. Those 3 things, and I want to make sure the players that play for us here get to experience and have, if not a better experience, and you know, than those, because we all know rings are what we're after, and those things are nice to look at, but after you graduate college, it's the 40 years after that that you look back on and think, wow, I really had a good experience. I really loved playing that. I really loved playing with who I played with and who coached me. So that experience alone, that's really why I got into coaching.
Yeah, and I think that my experience was very similar to that. You know, I was very, very lucky to play with a lot of great guys and still talk to them to this day. And it's crazy that it could be 3 years that we haven't seen each other and we pick up like that as soon as we see each other. You know, the banter starts and it's like you're right back in school again.
Yeah, I mean it's crazy now. All my friends are having daughters and sons that are looking into the college game, and you know, I'm probably aging myself right now, but it's getting to that point. But you know, it's awesome. We've got the best job in the world. We're very fortunate to do what we do for a living, and I think the best part of our job is we get to help influence lives moving forward.
Yeah, don't worry about aging yourself. My stepdaughter will be playing for me next year. So, what do you feel like is one of the most important pieces to being a coach?
I think that's a most important part about being a coach. I think there's three answers to that. I think the most important thing is you have to be accountable. We have to be accountable for our program, what we do, how we do it, and the outcome of those. We have to be accountable for that. Sometimes it doesn't go our way. So how are we looking to change that? How are we looking to get better? I think accountability. We have to be responsible. We're responsible for young lives. We're surrogate parents for these kids that come to play for us. We have to be responsible for the kids we recruit. We have to be responsible for getting the best out of those kids that come to our program. And sometimes that's soccer. Sometimes that's socially. Sometimes that's academic. Hopefully it's all three. But we have to be more responsible, I think, as coaches to get the best out of our players that we recruit. We brought them here. What are we doing with them while they're here? And then the last thing is, you know, loyalty. I stress that so much. We have a lot of that here at Longwood. You know, we have a great coaching staff here. We're very loyal to each other and what we do and how we do things. And I know our players see that. I know our players know that. And when they see and know that the players see that from the coaching staff, they know that they're on the same page. We're on the same page, and they need to get on the same page as quickly as possible.
Yeah, and I think that I can definitely see the loyalty piece. You know, we were at camp at UNCW together a few years ago, and you had one of your players, I think it was Kelly, down working as a counselor with you as well. And just the relationship that you guys were able to have, you could tell that there was a ton of trust there.
Yeah, and I mean it's something we try and build with all of our players. And you know, Kelly was a unique player, and you know, she was a very skillful player, but she was also a really, really good person. And you know, and she's actually our graduate assistant right now. So you know, she's a part. She went through 4 years of college and couldn't get enough and had to come back for more, I guess.
That's awesome. I didn't realize she was working with you guys now. That's great.
She's doing a great job.
Very nice. Very nice. What's a piece of advice you'd give to young coaches?
Be patient. Learn. Don't be in such a rush to want to become a head coach or look for the next big thing. You know, learn from your coaches. Your coach, the coach that you're working for is there for a reason. You know, a lot of young coaches, I think, are looking for the next big thing or wanting to rush into being a head coach. You know, take your time, learn, experience, learn loyalty, number one, because when you are a head coach, you're going to want that from your assistant coaches and your players. You know, but take your time, learn, document things, write down the things that work, write down the things that you don't agree with. That way, when you have your own program, you can implement maybe something that changes that you disagreed with. Be open, ask questions. Like when you work for a great head coach, and I've worked for a lot of great head coaches, if there's a question or something that you don't agree with or something you need clarification, don't be afraid to ask, but it's always the approach that how you ask it, when you ask it. You know, behind closed doors is always the best thing, but, you know, young coaches getting into the business, you know, just learn, document, you know, but also be able to bring something to the table. Just don't sit there and don't be a cone setter and a flag picker up or and a mannequin picker up, or, you know, say, hey, coach, I have an idea. Bring things to the table, you know, because if you're just sitting at the table eating and taking, what are you bringing to the table? So, you know, that would be my advice to young coaches is slow down, take your time, learn what to do, what you don't like, and what maybe not work for you when you get your program. So that would be my advice.
Yeah, I think we live in such an instant gratification society now that it can be very, very difficult to get short-sighted and kind of want things to be too quick, and then you might not be prepared when you get there. And I think that's kind of what you're saying. You know, I can definitely say, I mean, I was a college assistant for 8 years before I became a head coach, and that first year of being a head coach, I learned more than I did those 8 years, because it's so much different when you're the person in the seat, you know.
Yeah. Yep.
So, but definitely you got to take those prior experiences and use them to build off of, for sure.
Absolutely. Again, constantly learning.
Mm-hmm. For sure, for sure. Well, Rich, we really appreciate you taking some time to talk with us. You know, I look forward to continuing to watch you guys at Longwood and seeing what you're building, and I think you guys are moving in a great direction.
Thanks, Reed. Hey, well, we appreciate you having us on, and you know, Todd sends his best, and so does Kelly, and you know, hey, appreciate what you're doing, and we just got to keep these kids, keep them soccer ready, because hopefully, you know, it'll be back here sooner rather than later. All right, buddy. Go Lancers.
Yep. We'll see you, bud.